All right, let's do this. I'm interested to see how the stream goes. Apologies in advance if you're just joining. My neighbor decided to cut the grass, and it's the neighbor that's on the side of the house where I am. I'm in the loft, which is above our garage, which is right next to the neighbor's house. It's like 10 feet away from the neighbor's house. And they just got a new riding lawnmower, and it's really loud. So, shouldn't go too long. I think they might have gone to the backyard already. So, anyway, here we go. And I'm trying. So you'll hear the mower every so often, and apologies, it won't go forever. Just trying something new today. I've actually got a new setup for my internet that I think is a lot more stable. I'm in the furthest part of the house away from where our router is, but I got a new connection that I think seems to be working well. Here we go again, playing the game. When we did the live stream for 100,000, everybody kept unsubscribing so that the number stayed below the number. So it looks like that's what everybody's doing again. So it happens. We'll probably hit it during the stream though, hopefully. We're going to stream for 2 hours. Going to go right up to 5 o'clock. I'm going to do a bunch of different things. And I am doing a giveaway. We will draw the names at the end of the stream. You don't have to be live on the stream to win. So as long as you enter and the link is in the description, we're going to give away 5 history books or biographies to 5 winners. That can either be an audio book on Audible, or I'll send it to you through Amazon, in which case you'll have to give me your address. And I'll contact you privately through the email that's registered in the contest when it picks the names. So, up the tractor, boys. Yes. Is my Ipswich jersey over here? No. Only jersey I have sitting here right now is my West Brom jersey. Yeah. There you go. Right now, it's all about the Rangers, though. Trying to win that Europa League final. Torsk, that is awesome. Hey, from Birmingham. Birmingham, UK? Birmingham or Birmingham, Alabama? That's Birmingham, Alabama. But, awesome. Very cool. UK, West Brom still has a club. Yeah, thanks. Alexander, you're having Wedgwood pizza right now? That's awesome. I almost ordered Wedgwood pizza for tonight. My son has soccer practice at 6, and I wasn't going to have time to make dinner after the stream before practice. Hey, we're at 970. So I was going to order Wedgwood pizza, but he's having pizza for lunch at school, so I'm ordering KFC instead. So it almost was a Wedgwood pizza night. Yes, I do still play Hearts of Iron 4. Just started a new Hearts of Iron 4 series on the gaming channel. Everett, thank you. Joining in on Napoleon Mod release Sunday. Napoleon Mod for what? For what game? Were Richard Henry Lee and Robert E. Lee related? Yes, distantly. History guy, what's up? It's not a new webcam, actually. I just changed my lighting a little bit. Yeah, we're going to do a multiplayer Hearts of Iron 4 soon. Setting that up on the Discord. My youngest son, that's who has practice tonight. He's 9, so they kind of still play a little bit of everywhere. Probably going to end up on defense. But my older son, who's on his high school team, on a club team, he plays mostly striker, a little bit of right midfield sometimes. Everett, thank you. Appreciate that. And Travis, thank you. If the Germans had captured and killed the British at Dunkirk, would Britain have sued for peace? There would have been a lot of pressure to, but I don't think Churchill would have been willing to. So we're doing 5. We're giving away 5 books. And I will draw those names at the end of the stream, but you don't have to be in the stream to win because it'll... I'll have your email address and I can contact you every way. Link for giveaway says creating too many entries. Is anybody else having that problem? That should not be happening. Let me check it real quick. Because there shouldn't be a... you might personally be creating too many entries. Because we've got 106 entered so far. There should not be any kind of a limit on that. So as soon as we hit 300,000, we're gonna play some stuff. We're also going to watch my very first reaction video today, which I had to go back and find out what it was because I don't even remember what it was. Nah, Hitler lost the war because he invaded Russia, Soviet Union. Little Deader, what kind of or what part of Arkansas are you in? Caleb, that's weird. I don't know. Let me make sure that people are still able to enter. It was at 106. Let's see if there's more now. Yeah, now we're up to 119. So people are still entering. I'm not sure what is going on that you're having problems with it. UK Prime Minister tier list. I don't know that I can because I just don't know enough about UK Prime Ministers to feel like I could do it justice. Justin Laird, thank you. Appreciate that. Nothing like a trip down memory lane. Yeah. Who do I think's winning the Champions League final? Man City. They're just dominating everything right now. I have not been to Saratoga Battlefield. I would very much like to go. That's like 6-7 hours from me. Favorite county in the UK? Staffordshire. Followed by Lanarkshire. That's where Glasgow is, yeah. Don't know much about Canadian PMs either. Could the Soviet Union have won World War II alone? Absolutely not. They only did as well as they did because of the assistance they got from other countries. Oh, Man City's out? That's right. Liverpool then. It's going to be Liverpool. I forgot Man City got knocked out. I'm paying attention to Europa League. That's all I care about right now because the Rangers are in that. Thank you, Josh. I'm very proud of the video of the PALS battalions. That one was, that's probably my favorite video that I've ever made. Just because I absolutely love that story. I don't love the story. It's a heartbreaking, horrible story. But I'm very drawn to that story. Yes, Jonathan, I will be in Glasgow in the first week of July, and I cannot wait. Ezekiel, thank you. Appreciate that. So glad to have you on both channels. Wild Nate, thank you. Do I think the French would have surrendered in World War I if the Germans took Paris? I think there's a good chance that would have happened, yeah. I can't guarantee it. But the previous 2 times the French and the Germans had fought when Paris fell, the French were out. So I don't know. Well, I think of New Mexico. I've been there a couple times. I think I love it. I've enjoyed both of my trips to New Mexico. Yeah, it is amazing and terrible at the same time. That's a good way. Florida in the Civil War isn't much because there weren't many people in Florida in the Civil War. I will not be making much in the way of videos for the channel. Probably for VTH Extra because this is a family trip, taking the whole family. So not going to be a lot of like historical content that I'm going to be making, but I am planning a second trip to the UK just to make videos for the channel, probably in the fall, October-ish, somewhere around there. Greedy Ling, thank you, and I'm glad. That was one of my all-time favorite biographies, Grant by Chernow. So, best mustache in history. Ooh, there's quite a list there, but I'd like to hear other people's opinions on that one. Gettysburg, it's an interesting town. I do want to do something about the Lost Franklin expedition. As soon as we hit 300,000, we're going to watch my very first reaction video. Yeah, something about the 80 Years' War. Actually, there was a lot of conversation about that when I was in the Netherlands last week. That was just last week? Yeah, I guess it was about a week and a half ago I was there. Would love to visit Croatia someday. I'm glad he's doing okay, Mr. Willenshower. Bismarck is actually who I almost said for best mustache in history. When am I updating the video layout? Yeah, I need to do that. With my trip and everything, I just haven't had time to sit down and do extra things. Sheffield, very cool. Frankfurt's not going to win. Rangers have already taken care of a couple of German teams. One more is not a big deal. I would love to do Vlog Colton, a video on the 442nd. Fantastic unit. Actually, an absolutely great story. I want to go to the Black Country Museum. I don't think that's going to happen on this trip because we're not going to Birmingham on this trip. But when I go in October, I'm definitely going to Birmingham. Can I sing some more songs? We'll see how the stream goes. I got a lot of content to fill for 2 hours. So, Dad Talks. Thank you. And no, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm hoping to watch Operation Mincemeat this weekend. I haven't been to the Yorktown, but I'm hoping to go to Charleston sometime this year to make some videos for the channel. I did know Longstreet was of Dutch descent. Thoughts on Calvin Coolidge? Good man, good president. Any word on Real Madrid? Yeah, they're going to lose. Jimmy Carter for 100 years old. I like it. I hope he makes it. Fantastic human being. The world's better with him in it. I'm not going to be doing any Beatles song. Not a big Beatles fan, honestly. I recognize the impact they've had on the culture and on history, and I recognize how popular they are, just not personally a fan of the Beatles. We're 13 away. Who rose highest from their original position through the ranks during the Civil War? Nathan Bedford Forrest. He started out as a private, ended up a lieutenant general. Birmingham, awesome. Blue Nose, there's actually, I don't know if it's still a pub, but my great-great-great-grandfather owned a pub in Tipton, in Prince's End. It's on Church Lane, called the English Oak. I don't know if it's still a pub or like a dining hall, or I don't know, it's something. It's there. I just don't know what it is. Thea, thank you. Admiral Yee, he's got to be in the top 5 all-time military commanders. I mean, I don't like ranking in order because I think you can't really compare from different eras and different situations, but he's got to be in that conversation for the best of all time. The Iowa, I need to check out the Iowa. I haven't seen the Iowa yet. Hey, we're 10 away. Best wartime president? Oh, FDR out of those two. Quick unsubscribe, someone said. Greedy Ling, thank you. Jonestown, interesting topic. That's one we're talking. Ben, yes. I've actually been to the battlefield of Blue Licks because I had an ancestor who was killed in the Battle of Blue Licks. He was a lieutenant. His name was James Felix McGuire, and he's on the monument there. He was killed fighting alongside of Daniel Boone's son, who was killed there. I've been to the Blue Licks battlefield a couple of times. My family comes from Eastern Kentucky, so... Twan, or Twon, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thoughts on Grover Cleveland? Solid president, I think. Hey, it's no easy task to be the only Democrat to get elected in a span of like 40 years. Hitler shouldn't have invaded either one of them. He should have just stopped before he got to the Soviet Union and other places. Oh, we're 6 away, guys. Everybody wants to be the 300,000th, so people probably unsubscribed. 5 away. Oh, it's getting close now. Patton versus Great. That's, what's the Kahoot code? There's no Kahoot right now. We're going to do another private chat for members and patrons pretty soon for Kahoot, though. Alexander Wilson. No, I need to find a good book on the Napoleonic Wars, and thank you. Pluto, thank you. Appreciate that. Moo Moo, you're getting your bachelor's in American history? Very cool. Keep on teaching. Oh my gosh, everybody just unsubscribed. Fantastic. We're going to play that game again, just like we did for 100K. So, real quick, just a couple of interesting stats when I was looking things up. I hit my first daily content on the channel was back in December of 2020. So that's when I started making regular content, was right here in December. Everything else I uploaded before that was all old stuff from my gaming channel. December 5th was when I started doing almost daily content. It took me till, May 17th is when we hit 100,000. So almost a year ago today, we hit 100,000 subscribers. September 8th, which was the day after my 19th wedding anniversary, we hit 200K. So it's been 7 months. That 100 to 200 happened in 4 months. Took 7 more months, so a little slower to hit 300K. But a lot of that growth over the summer That year was because of the Napoleonic Wars, oversimplified, which just like I had 3,200 new subscribers in one day after that oversimplified came out. 1 year ago today, there were 8.5 million views on the channel. Today we have almost 50 million views on the channel. So some interesting stats there. What are the demographics of the channel? I could pull that up for you here in a minute and show you some of the demographics. You live in Pennsylvania, terms, conditions, very cool. I was married in Pennsylvania. My daughter was born in Pennsylvania. The English Oak is still a pub. Very cool. My great-great-great-grandfather owned the English Oak back in the 1860s. 300,000, guys. We did it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am continue to be blown away by this community. And I say we hit 300,000 because this is a community. And that's something I never knew. Never expected when I started this channel was how much I was going to grow to love this community. So thank you guys so much for that. I am grateful, and I'm gonna take a screenshot of it real quick or a picture of it with my phone so I can post something on Instagram and just say thank you to everybody real quick. And then we're gonna now everybody's resubscribing. Nice. Oh, I'm getting text messages now from people who are watching the stream. Thank you guys. Let me post this real quick, and then we're gonna watch my very first reaction video. All right, so yeah, then we shoot up on this. Yeah, I'm going to do the Jeremy Clarkson Victoria Cross. I get recommended that all the time. Nick, you're one of the originals, man. That's awesome. Very cool. Alexander, thank you. Part of the 7th Army? Yeah, I mean, Patton led the 7th Army in Sicily, so there's a lot of great material about them, even just in Patton biographies. But I can't think of one off the top of my head that would be a good one, but... So, speaking of, let's take a look real quick because Social Blade does these future projections, and here's what it's currently projecting. It says that this time next year we'll be at 582,000, and it bases these numbers on like analyzing all the channels on Social Blade and their growth, and so it's an estimate, and it estimates that we'll hit 1 million. Let's see the exact date it's currently estimating. February 29th. There is a February 29th. That'd be interesting to have it happen on Leap Day of 2023 is our current projection, or 2024, sorry, for 1 million. So we'll see what happens. But we'll see what happens. So let's watch my very first reaction video. Let me know if the volume, I think the volume should be good, but this was What If the South Won the American Civil War by Alternate History Hub. This was my very first reaction video. So we're going to react to the reaction. Hey guys, well I've had a number and by the way, I should mention that this was in my basement. When I first started doing reactions, I was still down in the basement, but if you look in this image, just in the top right corner of the image there, you can see just the tiniest part of my Union flag, my British flag. Just behind that flag is our furnace and our hot water tank, and all the pipes are there. So every time somebody would take a shower or flush the toilet or the furnace would come on, I'd have to stop recording, and it just got to be too much, even though otherwise it's very comfortable down there. The sound is good in terms of it doesn't matter if the neighbor's cutting the grass, but eventually I had to move. So now I'm up in the loft above our garage. But the problem is here it gets really hot. I have a portable air conditioner, but I have to turn it off when I'm streaming. So it's pretty warm in here right now. Requests for me to do reaction videos to historical content on YouTube. So I thought I'd dive into that today, and I'm looking at Alternate History Hub's What If the South won the American Civil War. So we're going to watch, and I'll kind of offer some commentary as I go about this. And I want to say, first of all, that, you know, when it gets into the topic of what ifs and alternate history, there's really no right or wrong. So any criticism or any differing opinion I might offer is just that. It's my opinion. It's how I see things. Alternate History Hub sees things their way. Other people see things another way. I would love to hear how you see things and how your reactions would be to what I say or to what is said on this video. Use the comment section below. And if you want to see more of this kind of thing, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video. We'll probably be doing more of this. So let's dive in. Yeah, I turned it down a little. So that's the old logo and the old intro that I used when I first started. I just got a message from Sonder. Thank you, man. You're going to see him in some of my upcoming videos from Europe, so.
The Civil War was the most devastating conflict in America's history. Roughly 640,000 Americans died in the 4-year fighting between the Union and Confederates, which eventually resulted in a Southern defeat, keeping the United States, well, united. But what if in an alternate timeline, the South won the Civil War?
All right.
What, many ask, what would even be the outcome had the Confederates win? What would be the possible scenarios of a Southern victory? Well, dear viewer, stop interrupting me. It's quite rude. That is what this video is about.
So the first thing I noticed right off the bat is I don't interrupt nearly as much on that video as I do now. I probably interrupt too much now. I need to get better at finding a happy medium where I like at least wait till the end of a thought before I jump in, because that what tends to happen is like something comes to mind, I immediately share it, and a lot of times if I would have just waited 10 more seconds, they would have said the same thing. So yeah, interesting.
Facts and historical events, we can get a few rough ideas about what this Confederate independence might look like. What if the South won the Civil War? I'm not here to make an argument about whether the South could have won the war. The Union definitely had a significant advantage, with a higher population, more industry, and larger army. But in this alternate timeline, things go right for the South.
So let's talk for a second before he gets into his factors into what would make a Southern victory. I see a lot of parallels between the American. My wife would be happy if I went back to that look. She likes the sideburns long. I don't really care for them that way. So every so often I grow them out just for her, but I don't really care for it. Of course, if it was up to me, I'd probably grow out the mustache and the facial hair again, like I had a couple of years ago before I started this channel, but she doesn't like that at all. So American Civil War and the American Revolutionary War. Now, if you were to ask a Southerner, they would have said the same thing, because many of them called it their second war of independence. And I think the factors that would have gone into a Confederate victory would have been pretty much the same. The American Army in the Patriot Army in the Revolutionary War was never going to defeat the British Army in head-to-head battle. It just wasn't the way they could do things, and George Washington understood that. The way that the revolution was won was two things. It was alliances, especially with France, but also with places like Spain, and then financial resources from the Netherlands, for example. Fog of War, if you want to see the facial hair, join the Discord. They made a... so when I shaved it all off, I left the mustache for a few minutes and took a picture of it. I think that they're on Instagram. And they turned the picture of me with just this dark black mustache into an emoji on the Discord server. And number two, it was just outlasting the British until the public got sick of it, until they got tired of paying for it. I think the South, in order to have won, needed to do the same thing. They needed help from Europe, and they needed to outlast the Northern public to where they turned against the war. But that never actually happened. So let's see what he says here.
The future in this Confederate victory would depend on two factors: the peace negotiations with the Union and the size of the conflict.
Okay.
Being smaller and less developed, the South would only have a successful existence if the Union simply gave up on their war.
I agree with that.
There were people in the North who would have went into a treaty with the independent CSA.
Yes.
George McClellan, a Union general turned presidential candidate, even spoke of going to peace talks with the South.
Now, I will say this. The 1864 election, where McClellan was the Democratic nominee, McClellan ran as a war candidate, even though the Democratic platform was for peace, was for a negotiated settlement with the South. McClellan personally said he wanted to try and win the war. So I don't know if it's just quite as simple as to say that McClellan was open to peace negotiations. He may have been, but I don't know that that's really who he was, even though that's what his party was for.
So it wouldn't be too crazy if this did happen. In this alternate timeline, it does, effectively letting the South win the war. If the South won early into the conflict, relations wouldn't be too damaged with their former Americans.
That makes sense.
I'll say this. My hair's gotten a lot grayer in the last year and a half. I just realized that. Just since then. I was 43 there. I'm 44 now. But that was a year and a half ago. I have a lot more gray hair. I mean, you can't see it when my hair's a little shorter on the sides, but when it grows out, you can see it. Holy cow, I didn't realize how much grayer I've gotten since then. That makes me feel a little rough.
Each nation would control themselves and trade with one another.
You're aging me,
Just
yes.
as in our timeline, Northern textiles use Southern cotton to create products which make the South wealthy. This
see that.
economic relationship could easily continue if both were separate nations, at least for a little while. One thing we need to discuss in an independent CSA is just how long slavery would have actually
20 years.
lasted.
I give it 20 years.
Slavery was an essential part to Southern economics and social hierarchy. It was the main reason the South seceded from the Union in the first place. The Southern aristocrats feared the election of Lincoln would take away their main economic power. Of course they would secede to save their fortune. Slavery was even protected by the CSA Constitution because of this fact.
Now, I don't know what he's going to say here, but I would imagine he's going to say much the same thing I would say, which is that had the South become an independent nation, in order to begin establishing diplomatic relations with other nations in Europe, I think there would have been some kind of an expectation of a plan to eradicate itself from slavery. Now, I say that, and I think most people say that, but the fact is the United States had slavery. So that wasn't a condition for diplomatic relations with the United States government, so why should it have been with the South? So maybe I'm getting ahead of myself in saying that, but I think at some point the South needed to have some kind of a plan to start to slowly get itself out of a slave-dependent economy.
So I don't know if you guys ever saw it. Speaking of the Inception thing we got going on here with me reacting to my reaction, very early on in the life of the channel, and I'll have to show it to you when this one's over, my wife did a reaction to one of my reactions, and we'll have to do that again sometime, Tara. That was fun.
However, with the rise of abolition in Europe and the North, perhaps boycotting of Southern cotton could have encouraged them to disband their practice.
That's possible.
Britain could have gotten their cotton from India and Egypt anyway, so they could afford to take a moral stance. Just as South Africa was slowly forced from the international community to disband apartheid, so would the
200 years
CSA
later.
be
Well,
forced
150
to give
years
up
later.
its slave-based economy. Combined with increasing industrialization, less economic profit, and need to compete with Western nations, opinion could be forced to change slavery in the South. Slavery would have been disbanded only in the face of complete economic collapse, but eventually it had to be abolished.
Yeah.
Or I sure hope it would have. With this, possible abolition enrages Southern whites, as they fear competition with blacks in the job market. We could see an alternate parallel of the KKK be born inside the South.
I thought I paused it, but I guess not. At 1 million, we've already decided what we're doing for 1 million. For 1 million subs, if and when that does happen, I don't want to assume it will happen, but we're certainly headed that direction. At 1 million, the plan is to take a ride on a Spitfire. I'll have to show that to you guys where you can do that. Professor What, I'm with you. I think Lemino's Jack the Ripper series is probably my favorite reaction I've ever done.
as far as just how good the original content was, combined with the fact that it was a topic I knew a lot about, which made a perfect situation. You had fantastic original content, and I had something substantial to offer in the commentary on it. So probably my favorite.
But fighting against the anti-slavery Confederate government and free blacks. Even if the South disbanded slavery, that doesn't mean they allow equal rights to blacks.
No, I think that's a fair
black population
assumption.
In the CSA, almost 50% in some states.
Now, there weren't many states where that was the case, and we have to remember that the Confederacy, you can't put it all in one big block. Mississippi was very different than Tennessee or Virginia, for example. There's a reason why when Lincoln was first elected, that it wasn't all of the states who seceded. It was the Deep South. It was the Cotton States, as they called them. It was Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. States like Virginia, North Carolina, Arkansas, Tennessee, they only seceded after the war broke out. Fort Sumter was fired upon, and Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers to put down the rebellion. That was what pushed them over the line. They weren't willing to go all in on seceding just because of the issue of slavery, because slavery was actually much smaller in a lot of those states. In a place like Mississippi, the black population was literally half the population of that state, and slavery was a huge, huge part of the economy.
States, an undemocratic government would be put in place to keep black citizens from gaining political power. Much like an apartheid government in South Africa, however, with a sizable white population, the government maintained support. Uprisings, protests, and rebellions could become commonplace again.
Man, I just keep looking at that, and I'm looking at my hair, and I'm so freaking jealous that I thought I had a lot of gray hairs then. But compared to now, my goodness, I didn't realize, this is making me feel old right now. Jeez, and that wasn't that long ago. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. Yeah, all of Eastern Tennessee was pro-union. I'm not going to react to a Sabaton song live on the stream because I'll get demonetized. But I am going to do some more reactions in the next couple of days to Sabaton. How old am I? I'm 44. We're all slowly dying. Yeah, well, I mean, that's true. I still have long lush. Hey, 44 years old, with the family history that I have in my family of males not having their hair, I am grateful to have as much hair as I do. Absolutely. I will be watching the FA Cup final.
Against the Southern government. Politics inside the Union are drastically shifted as Lincoln and the Republican Party are remembered as the people who lost the South.
Yeah.
Because Washington, D.C. is so close to the Confederates and it was built as a compromise between North and South, the capital of the U.S.
I could see that.
moved, probably to a city such as New York or Philadelphia.
Now, I would think that's probably less likely compared to some of the other things he's talking about here. But yeah, I could see the possibility of that. But I don't know. I would say if I was putting together my own alternate history of what happened, I probably wouldn't say that Washington moves. But I certainly wouldn't put down the idea that that's possible. Now, I will agree with where I think he's going with this, which is, the post-Civil War period, that time from Lincoln's election in 1860 up until 1912, I guess it is, when Woodrow Wilson is elected. There's one Democrat elected president in that entire span of 50 years, and that was Grover Cleveland. Other than that, it was all Republicans and almost all Ohio Republicans who were elected president. So the South wins the Civil War. I think that goes very, very differently. But then again, a lot of the Democrats are in the South, so it'd be interesting to see. I would imagine a new party arises at that point, but I don't know. Let's see where he goes with this.
Yeah. Internationally, the United States and CSA would remain adversaries for the next few decades. Competition out west.
I feel like I'm a lot more low key. I don't know if you guys think that or not, but I'm just trying to think about how I do differently with reactions now than I did a year and a half ago with my very first one. By the way, if you're just joining us, this is my very first reaction video I ever did, so we're watching it. RIP Ohio presidents. Yeah, we haven't had one since Harding, and I think that's why.
and in the Great Plains could even bring mini skirmishes between militias and citizens. The CSA had ambitious internal struggles.
Whoops, I was
They
trying to
would
type in the
have
chat.
attempted to expand into Latin America.
I think most people
Whether
agree
or
on
not
that.
they could have accomplished this is up to you. Confederates did set up colonies in our timeline, though, including 20,000 Southerners who fled to Brazil. With the Industrial Revolution and rise of European colonies, the South would need to transform itself to compete with the rest of the Western world. It's hard to say if this could happen, since Southern life was based around agriculture.
Yeah,
the
we
South
need to
could
change.
have industrialized, but it must change most aspects of their lifestyle.
That's actually a great point Sven makes that I didn't think about at the time. The very first reaction I did was to a fellow Ohioan. I think he lives around Toledo, I think somebody told me. He's over in that part of Ohio. Which side of my family is from Birmingham? That would be my mom's side of the family. From my mom's dad, his family originally comes from Birmingham City. They actually lived in the jewelry quarter. One of my ancestors was a gun maker during the Napoleonic Wars. And then my mom's mother's family came from West Brom and Tipton. On my dad's side, mostly from Nottingham. Now, there are other examples in history in the 19th century of nations beginning to industrialize who hadn't previously. I think of Russia, who became the Soviet Union. They were a very rural, kind of agrarian society, even in the beginning part of the 1900s. So it could have been done, and I think the South probably would have recognized the need for that to happen.
If the Confederacy won, the United States would never have been the nation it is today. No surprise. The mindset of what makes us American would change as well. Before the war, people identified more with their state than nation.
Yep.
The
Yeah, Ohio
conflict
flag, too.
changed
Nice.
all of
Go
that.
Buckeyes.
With a Union victory, America was united as one people.
It's said, and I know this has been referred to in movies like National Treasure, where they talk about, and this is absolutely true, the United States was always referred to plurally before the Civil War. The United States are. They always viewed the United States as a collection of states. It was only really viewed as a united nation. The United States is after the Civil War. Oh, thank you, Face Stardust. Face Stardust was with us on our Band of Brothers tour that we did. So I'm so glad to see you in here for the chat. Hopefully we get to cross paths again in Bastogne.
However, if the southern states broke away, this American unity is now difficult. Secession is a precedent which has proven to work. The effect of this would have larger consequences for the United States. This alternate U.S. is less of a country and more of a European Union.
He makes an interesting point, and that's not something I'd ever considered before. The fact that successful secession might possibly lead to more secession and more breakup after that. The idea that, okay, if I don't like it, I'm going to take my ball and go home. This was not the first time secession was talked about. New England talked about seceding in the very early stages of the American experiment. This is the first time it got to that point. So I hadn't thought of that. I think that's an excellent point. Not a lot of people bring that up.
Both American countries wouldn't have the influence they did united in our timeline. Having to compete with a new neighbor brings international conflicts closer to home. Odds are American influence, both Confederate and Union, never spread as far.
Fair.
Europe would remain the dominant force into the 21st century.
Can't argue with
There
that.
are many different scenarios for how the CSA would be had it won the Civil War. This is just one alternate timeline. There is no way to 100% predict how the world would be had events been changed, but it's fun to analyze the possibilities. What do you think the world would be like had the South won the Civil War? Say in the comments. Like us on Facebook and subscribe if you have not done.
All right, so interesting. Very interesting points. I'll just add kind of my own thoughts. I would agree with 90% of what he said there. I think he makes some excellent points about what that looks like. There's some fantastic alternate histories out there, especially the ones by Harry Turtledove, where he explores what the world looks like in a post-Southern victory in a Civil War.
and what politics would have looked like. I could certainly see someone like James Longstreet having become president like he did in Turtle Dove's books. It'd be interesting to see what Lincoln would have done if he hadn't been assassinated. Turtle Dove kind of has him go down the route of socialism, which I don't know that I agree with that. But it's interesting to think about. So I would love to hear your comments about that. Use the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts about what you think a Southern victory would have looked like and what it would have meant for the world and what would have been required for that to take place. And if you got requests for other videos you'd like me to take... Hold on a second, guys.
It's you.
Hold on a second, guys. The wife is coming in, so...
I don't know if I can get
Hello.
to you.
I can put this down,
Wait,
but then
I
they'll
can
see
come around.
everything. Here, let me move the guitar.
Hello.
I thought it was one of the kids.
No, I'm only in for a second. Hi.
Hello. Mwah.
I wanted to compare you to you because I was only in the
See
car.
how, like, not as many grays.
So I like you now. Hee hee hee. I'm comparing. Well, you have more facial hair in that picture.
Yeah, I do a little bit. That's because I just shaved today, so.
Yeah, that's fine. Here, would you like a Tic Tac that is Coca-Cola flavored?
Coca-Cola Tic Tac.
I thought your daughter liked those, but
This is not an advertisement.
I know. I was just thinking. Okay, I gotta get ready and leave.
Have fun.
And I was only in for a minute, so bye, guys.
Have fun.
Yeah. Ooh, I gotta try to not knock this down.
I caught it because it was going down.
What did you do after you reacted? I didn't get to hear because I shut you off and came in.
I'm actually just now finishing the reaction.
Oh, but now what?
Ah, it's going down. You missed it
Do
up.
you need help?
I got it.
Okay. Bye.
See ya. Coke Tic Tac was actually pretty good. That was nice. All right, she's out. So, as I mentioned already, I think the biggest takeaway I have from watching my first reaction is I talked a lot less. And, like, I feel personally that it's probably a good thing that I should talk less, but it seems like some of you guys disagree with that. So, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know. Turd Ferguson, thank you. Appreciate that. What am I drinking? Sparkling ice caffeine drink with 0 sugar, black raspberry. It's kind of my common go-to drink these days. Okay. So where were we here? So there's that. And by the way, don't forget to enter the drawing. We're going to be drawing for 5 biographies or history books. We're going to draw 5 winners at the end of the stream near 5 o'clock. You don't have to still be in the stream to win because I will contact you. It'll give me your email address when I draw the winners. So, somebody was asking about what's it called? Somebody was asking about the demographics of the channel. So give me a second and I'm going to pull those up and then I'll drag it over so you can see it. I have to remember where the demographic information is. I know how to find it on my phone on the app, but it's a little trickier to find it on here on analytics. So I think it's under audience. All right, here we go. Let me drag this over and I'll let you guys see some of the demographics. It's kind of an interesting thing to look at. Plus, a lot of you might not know what all YouTube shows in some of these. So this is actually in the last 28 days. So this is the most recent information. And you can see returning viewers. How many viewers have come back and watched at least one more video. How many new subscribers we've added in the last 28 days. How many different viewers. So 742,000 different people have watched at least one video on the channel in the last 28 days. So this is cool too. Videos growing your audience. So this tells you in the last 90 days which video introduced people to the channel and got them to stick around for more videos. Obviously, The Historian Reacts to Ben Shapiro's presidential tier list has been my best performing video ever. So that makes sense that it would be at the top of the list. These are the most common channels that you guys watch in addition to mine. Drew Durnall, History Matters, Armchair Historian. iSorrow Productions I'm not familiar with. No, my daughter's channel is not still bigger, but she doesn't make videos anymore. So, Kings and Generals. What else we got? Geofax. I don't think I've watched any of that one either. What If Alt Hist? Tommy K. Who's Tommy K? I don't know that channel either. Alternate History Hub. History Buffs. Good channel. I don't know some of these. Urinating Tree I've never heard of. Very cool. So obviously you guys know these channels because you're watching them. So here we go. This is when the viewers on the channel are most active. So you can see Tuesday is kind of the least active day. Other videos that my audience watched. So this is interesting because I guess I should probably react to some of these. So top geographies, here you go. This is what people were asking about. So let's take a look at that. By far, U.S. is 56.5% of the audience. U.K. is next. It makes sense. English-speaking channels are going to be higher on the list. U.K. about 7%. Canada, Germany, Australia, Philippines, Sweden, Netherlands, India. I got to step up my my Norway and Poland game a little bit here. So there you go. Gives you a little bit of a sense of that. Let's go back here. There's one. Subscribers are turned on all notifications. Only 1/3 of our subscribers, or only 12% of our subscribers have all notifications turned on. It's a little low for YouTube average. Average is 10 to 30%. All notifications turned on for my channel and enabled YouTube notifications, 5 to 20%. Mine's at 9. So watch time is pretty even. Just slightly less than half of all the watch time is from subscribers. And then this has always been this way. My age and gender, it's about 94.5% male on average, the audience. But I love the female fans that we do have, and I'm grateful for every one of you. Sarah, yes, there you have it. Battlefield Gods, thank you. Interesting. What a cool story to have in your family, to know that that's the case. So now age and gender. Now this actually surprises me a little bit that 2/3 of the audience is between 18 and 34. I would have thought that my channel would skew a little older than that, but it doesn't. So that's pretty cool. Moon Clarinet, another part of the 4% female. Okay, so there you have it. That's some of the demographics. Gives you a little bit more information on some things. So yeah, let's take a look back at the very first content on the channel. Like I said, the oldest content, this is every one of these videos up through December 5th, or actually December 8th when I did my first reaction video. All of those are videos that were originally on my History Guy Gaming channel, and then I migrated over to this channel. So that's what a lot of those are. And you'll notice a huge difference between my old historic site content and the newer stuff. I'm trying to get much better at that. So it obviously has really made a big difference in the time since I've made those first ones. You're from Warren? Very cool. Matthew, I was born in Warren. So were my wife, my parents, and my 2 of my 3 kids. I do remember when I was the history guy. I was the history guy before the history guy, the one that everybody knows about. Mr. Beep, one of these days we're going to have to meet since you live like right down the street from me almost. Cranberry Township, very cool. Any plans on redoing the older site video? If I get back to those places, absolutely. Yes, actually, I have a video that I made. That reminds me, I made a video about the English Civil War exile that I'm descended from. When I was in New Haven, Connecticut last year, I visited the site where he hid in some rocks outside of New Haven, and I made a video, but I haven't edited it and uploaded it yet, so I need to do that. Fog of War, possibly, but there's copyright issues I'm concerned about with that. Your dad's family lived in Ohio, Lisa? Very cool. I live 8 miles from Youngstown and about an hour from Canton. My favorite food, chicken and dumplings, and then probably pizza. I feel like History Buff's videos are already kind of reactions. That's why I haven't really done them. Historical sites in Georgia. What part of Georgia are you going to be in, Ian? I do still do genealogy, though I don't do it for other people anymore because I was getting like 5 requests a day and I just couldn't keep up with it. So I unfortunately have stopped doing that. Yes, actually, CT. Quite possible I will do some non-history games on VTH Gaming in the future. No, the S-Tribe, the whole point of the contest is that I'm giving those away. Otherwise, you could just order it yourself and you wouldn't need to enter a contest for it. It's free to enter. Yeah, Mr. Beat and I'm sure we will collab again. We've actually talked about me coming out to Kansas to do some John Brown stuff with him. Pierre, most of the books I've written so far have been family history related. I'm looking to see if one of my books is up here, actually. Hold on a second. Nope. It's not. I thought maybe I had a copy of my latest book up here, but it's on Amazon, but it's probably not something that interests the general public because it's about a particular family that immigrated from Birmingham and Glasgow to the United States, and it kind of tells their story of the old country, what they did there, what life was like in the 1820s, 1830s, 1840s, what led them to leave Birmingham and go to Glasgow, what led them to leave Glasgow and come to the United States, and kind of just retracing their steps. I am currently writing a book on the 20th Ohio Volunteer Infantry in the Civil War. So that'll probably be about a year before that one's done. The chair is possessed. I have played Steel Division 2. In fact, maybe at some point I'll show you guys my my Steam library during this stream because we still have about an hour. Thomas Wrestling, thank you. Louisiana history. I need to get back to Louisiana. I've only been there once. Acrylic Games, thank you. Kentucky Christian University? It's acrylic? Is that what you mean by KCU? Yes, Mr. Terry and I have talked about collab. It'll happen at some point. I haven't played much Age of Empires 3, but I am a huge Age of Empires fan. I want to go to Wilson's Creek, absolutely. The book was... here, I'll show you the link to the book here in a minute. I have been to the Meuse-Argonne area. Did some videos from there. Meuse-Argonne American Cemetery. I've got a video coming out in the next week or two about Alvin York from the site where he got his Medal of Honor. I'm not only a Christian, I'm actually a pastor. Kentucky Christian University. It's acrylic. I almost went to school there because my family is from Olive Hill, Kentucky, which is like 8 miles down the road from KCU. I got a lot of friends that went to KCU. That's the church I grew up in supported KCU. But I actually was going to go there and run cross country because they had a fantastic cross country program at Kentucky Christian, and ended up getting a job in youth ministry, so I ended up not going to KCU. But I had enrolled. I had already talked to the cross country coach, and was starting to do my workouts to get ready for going in the fall, and just didn't end up happening. Southern or mid Georgia? Well, southwest Georgia is where Andersonville is. Definitely check that out if you're anywhere in that area. Yeah, Dirty Bernie. I want to do a Gettysburg thing. The problem is doing tours at Gettysburg is a tricky thing because I know enough about Gettysburg to lead a tour, but they're really like they're all the neighbors back to cutting the grass again. let's just say that it's not really welcome for people who are not licensed battlefield guides to lead tours at Gettysburg. So I'd either have to hire somebody else to be a tour guide. I don't know exactly how that would work because I could do it myself. I know that battlefield. I know everything about that battle. I'm not on Gary Edelman level, but I could do the tours. So I don't know. Would I recommend moving to Ohio from Connecticut? I don't know. It depends on what you like. They do, Lisa. Devil's Den is closed, and Little Round Top's closing this month, I think. I do want to visit Sweden. Let me show you guys my ancestry breakdown here for a second. Oh wait, I want DNA. That's what I want. Here we go. So here's my DNA. And you can see right there, 6% Sweden and Denmark. I do have some Swedish ancestry. More specifically, though, almost all of my roots are Ireland and UK, as you can see here. I do have that little bit of African there going back. I have a great-great-great-grandmother who was born into slavery. I have been to 48 states, Ariel. Utah and Rhode Island are the two I haven't been to. It's acrylic. That's awesome. And thank you again for that. The church that I pastor is in Salineville, Ohio, which is where the northernmost battle of the American Civil War was fought. And it was later that day, after the Battle of Salineville, that John Hunt Morgan surrendered. The surrender site where Morgan was captured is about a half hour from my house. So I'm going to do a video on that at some point. No, I've been to Hawaii and Alaska. Yes, Sean, I'm part of what's called non-denominational Christian churches and churches of Christ is what I've grown up in and what I'm pastor of. Hey, Faith Stardust, good night. Thank you for joining the stream. I can't wait for us to cross paths again. I've only been to Idaho once. Hopefully I'll get there again at some point. Fog of War, yes, I will be doing some more independent stuff at some point. Any presidential content on the horizon? Yeah, I'll probably get to some more I've done a lot of presidential stuff already. Next time we have lunch in the Netherlands, Marcel, that was brutal, man. I am such a picky eater. All the people who were with me on that tour know what a picky eater I am. 18% Sub-Saharan African? Yeah, I'm only about 6% Sub-Saharan African. Now, here's what's cool is when you look at like my grandma's DNA and my grandpa's DNA, it actually specifies that they're from the West Midlands, which is 100% true. Because like my grandma's family, the Whitakers, which is her maiden name, actually they were the ones who came from Tipton. I'm trying to find Tipton on the map. I got to back out a little bit so I can see where I'm at. There's Leicester. Okay, here's Wolverhampton. So Tipton is... There's West Brom. Tipton's right here. So that's where my grandma's family came from. And they actually were from West Brom, some of them too. And then same thing on my grandpa's family tree, or my grandpa's DNA. You'll see here that he's got, and this is new. I don't know what this Albania Greece thing is going on here, but there's the German on my grandpa's side. And then he also shows as West Midlands because his family is from Birmingham. Catching up on the chat here. What non-denominational? It's independent Christian churches, Churches of Christ. Favorite Sabaton song, 82nd All the Way, Lost Battalion, and Red Baron are my three favorite. Though I love Lady of the Dark on the new album. Fantastic. Eastern Orthodox Christianity. I'm pretty, I'm pretty non-judgmental when it comes to, I have, my own theological thoughts on different things, but I don't have any negative thoughts about Eastern Orthodox. Victor, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm a little bit familiar with Northern Kentucky. Not a lot. Jack, if you just want to know about your DNA breakdown and stuff, I'd say probably 23andMe. But if you're interested in connecting with other matches and things like that, Ancestry is good because there's a lot more people that have done the tests. Transubstantiation is the idea that during communion, it's a Catholic doctrine mostly, that the communion, the bread and the cup, physically become the body and blood of Jesus rather than just symbolic. Edward Guest, definitely planning to go to Leicester when I go this fall, and I would love to see some Welsh castles. There goes the lawnmower again. What historical place would I like to visit that I haven't visited yet? Probably top of my list right now is Normandy. I want to get to Passchendaele and Ypres and some of the northern World War I battlefields. I want to go to Auschwitz. I've been told by a lot of people, I say this all the time, that Auschwitz is one of those places you need to go, but once you go, you never want to go back. And I totally get that. That's kind of how Verdun felt to me a little bit, though I do want to go back. Yeah, I would like... actually, interesting, Sarah, you mentioned Florida forts, because I had somebody contact me a couple months ago from Pensacola, which I've been to Pensacola, like, years and years ago. In fact, the very first time I ever flew on an airplane, I was 20 years old, and I flew to Pensacola. But he's from Pensacola, and he actually offered to pay all of my expenses for me to travel down to Pensacola and do videos from the historic sites there, like Fort Pickens and things like that. So that is going to happen at some point. Yeah, I remember I've seen the Blue Angels flying over. I've been to the museum there in Pensacola. The most important battle of the U.S. Civil War. It's the Vicksburg campaign, I think. I did a video, actually. Interesting you mentioned that. On the descendants of founding fathers. Right here. It's actually unlisted now because I think I reposted it. But Family Connections of the Revolution and Civil War. It's specific about the descendants of the founding fathers who were a part of the American Civil War, but it is about those descendants. So I'll probably do another one about connections between the Civil War and World War II, because there's a lot of really interesting ones there too. I should go to Fort Necessity. Also funny you mentioned that. Boy, you guys are helping me understand that a lot of you need to get back and watch my older content. It's not the best in terms of quality, because I think I've grown a lot since then. But I do have... Let's see, here's Braddock's defeat, which is like a mile down the road from Fort Necessity. But I also did one on Fort Necessity. I don't know if... I'm sure I uploaded it. Now I got to look and see. Oh, there's Fort Knox. Oh, no, okay. I guess I need to get the Fort Necessity video uploaded back up. You wonder how I was before reading Grant's memoirs? It's funny because I actually, when I got through the first half of Chernow's biography, I did a video that night from my hotel room in Gettysburg because I was blown away about how little I really knew about Grant until I started in that biography. And so I talked about how my opinion changed a lot there. I haven't been to the Dragon Man Museum in Colorado. I've been to Colorado a lot. Oh, interesting question about House of York or House of Lancaster, because I personally am a House of York guy because the House of York, they were the rightful kings. But my family connection is the House of Lancaster. One of my ancestors was one of the leading Lancastrians, a guy named John Clifford. He killed the Duke of York's son in battle. What do I think of Devon? My wife has ancestors from Devon, so I guess I should only say good things. Jack, I'm with you. I think Chernow's biographies of Hamilton and Grant are probably my two favorite biographies I've ever done. I have seen some of Tick's stuff. My German ancestors, I can show you exactly where my German ancestors are from. I have several lines, but two specific German lines that I'll show you. So one is, so like my last name is Maori, which is an English last name, but my ancestors were Mauer. It was German. So we're pretty sure that George Maori, my fifth great grandfather, whose last name was actually Mauer, that his family came from a place called Guggenbach, which I'll show you exactly where that is. So they came from this area here that's kind of in the middle of Frankfurt, Stuttgart, and Nuremberg. It's right in this kind of no man's land between those three places. So right there. And then my other real prominent German line that I'm real familiar with is the Stillwagen line. Let me find it. Here. And they were from Wonsheim. Apparently they were a pretty wealthy family there. And that's right, so that's right here, which is actually not real far away from there. So I need to make a trip to these places. That's southwest of Frankfurt. I would love to visit Poland. I want to go to Auschwitz. I want to go to Auschwitz, to the fort where the Attack of the Dead Men happened. Hasab Lusignan, Valois. I do need to do some more War of Rights. Nathan Bedford Forrest, brilliant general, lousy human being who kind of redeemed himself later on. Edward III or Henry V, Edward III. I need to go to Utah, probably Utah first, because I want to go to the Genealogy Research Center in Salt Lake City. And I have a friend who lives in Salt Lake City as well, a friend from high school. FDR, Winston Churchill, Churchill. I need to get to the battlefield of Brandywine. I was there years ago. Brandywine in Germantown, years and years ago, but I haven't been there for a while. Next, Netherlands video. The first full video from that trip is actually going to be from Belgium rather than the Netherlands. And it'll be as soon as I get my last few videos from the first trip out. And I still have a whole series of videos from Arlington I haven't done too. I really need to get on top of editing. I was in Nijmegen when I was there, Chappie, and thank you for that. But I've got, I've got 2 more from Verdun to do, and then I've got a video about the Americans at Belleau Wood, and I've got the video about Alvin York. So 4 more from France. And then my first video from the most recent trip, which I'm already working on a little bit of the editing, is going to be from Bastogne. I will be uploading more clips. So you're going to get to see little bits of those clips of videos, just not the full edited videos yet. What age group that I wanted to teach? I wanted to teach college. I wanted to be a professor, actually. Rather fight in the trenches or be on a U-boat? I'd rather fight in the trenches. I have been to Monocacy. Which founding father would have been most active on Twitter? Alexander Hamilton, and it wouldn't have been close. Can I vlog when I put my feet in the last state, Rhode Island? Yeah, I think I'll have to do that. What historic event deserves its own movie most that doesn't already have one? Ooh, good question. There's so many. I first of all wish we had more World War I movies, because there's such amazing content out there about World War I. Oh, Rangers getting to Europa League's fantastic. Let me think about this question about a movie I wish that they would make. How do I manage all these comments? It's not easy. Is Delaware real? Okay. Gosh, there's so many things I could say here. I don't even know where to start. Teddy Roosevelt. Oh, there you go. Good call. A full movie about the life, a biography about Teddy Roosevelt, like a series, like a John Adams type series like they did on HBO with John Adams. Something like that about Theodore Roosevelt would be amazing because his story's amazing. So is Grant's story amazing. I am excited for the Joaquin Phoenix Napoleon movie. Well, we're getting one. The Joaquin Phoenix movie, I think, is it Roland Emmerich that's doing that one? It's one of the big-time Hollywood directors that's doing that one. They're making a History Channel thing on Teddy, which I think will be really good because the ones on Grant and Lincoln were very good. You know what, Braden, believe it or not, Tom Berenger was a good Theodore Roosevelt. He had him down as far as like his voice and his mannerisms. Because Theodore Roosevelt was not the manly, tough, deep voice guy you expect him to be. His voice wasn't like that at all. It's kind of like George Patton's the same way. Patton's voice is not at all the way that George C. Scott played him. I think the Roosevelts were proud of their Dutch ancestry. Oh, Ridley Scott. That's who it is. Okay. We'll get to some more Florida history, as I mentioned earlier. Theodore Roosevelt's greatest accomplishment. Wow. That's a great question because he had so many. I think the national parks are a good thing. I don't know if that's his greatest accomplishment. Chillman, thank you. Appreciate that. What happened to Edward V? Who was Jack the Ripper? What if I could know the answer to one mystery? What would it be? Initially I would say who was Jack the Ripper, but I think part of the mystique and what makes Jack the Ripper so interesting is the fact that we don't know who he is. I feel like people wouldn't care so much about that story if we knew his identity. Sean, you make a great point about Passchendaele, how horrifying it was. And I'll share a story about that in just a minute. But if I can know the answer to one thing, yeah, I think the other one that you mentioned would probably be it. What happened to the princes in the tower? And because I don't think that one's as cut and dry as people think it is. Nicholas, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do need to do another epic rap battle. Jack the Ripper probably was Polish, I think so. But I'm going to be doing the Jack the Ripper tour in London, end of June. Super excited about that. States I haven't been to yet are Rhode Island and Utah. That's it. Oh, man. That would be awesome. A glacier or Mount Rainier. My family, I have a brother who lives in Anchorage, and my family, we're thinking about doing a Alaska cruise next year. And if so, that'll be great content for VTH Extra, for sure. There is a TNT mini series about Andersonville. It was actually very, very good. You can find it on YouTube. Ian, I already answered the question about Florida history a couple of times. Yeah, there's too many. I personally think the Princes in the Tower it was Buckingham who did it on behalf of the Tudors, but I don't know for sure. Why do I hate Rhode Island? I do not hate Rhode Island. Just haven't had a chance to be there. A lot of the states I've been to, it's because of my work with Rachel's Challenge, and we have a speaker who lives in Rhode Island, and so since it's such a small state, anytime there's a Rhode Island event, typically they just send the guy who lives there. So I haven't had a chance to go there. What jobs are available for a BA in history? I mean, it's pretty much teaching or working at a museum. I mean, honestly, there just aren't that many. I did do the Did I do the Rasputin versus Stalin? I think I did. I can't remember now. Yes, Ohio is part of the Rust Belt, and specifically where I live in Ohio is a huge part of the Rust Belt. Haven't been to any of the Arkansas battlefields. I want to go to my friend JD, History Underground. He went to Jenkins Ferry, and I would love to go there. Advice for being a historian, just consume as much information as you can and find an area of something you're passionate about and learn all you can about that. I know a little bit about a lot of different history events, and then I know a lot about a couple. Presidential history, Civil War, Wars of the Roses, starting to get there with World War I. It's impossible to know everything about everything. So find topics you're passionate about and just consume everything you can. That's my thing, is that I'm blessed with a pretty good memory combined with an insatiable appetite for information. So, like, for example, I got interested in The Tudors, the TV series that came out on Showtime. And for years, while that series was out, I consumed all I could about the Wars of the Roses and about the Tudor period, which is how I got to know so much about it. So I use those opportunities when I learn a little bit. It causes me to be hungry for more, and so I consume all I can. So a day does not go by that I'm not reading a book, watching a documentary, something where I'm learning more. I'm always trying to learn more. I would say do that. Yes. Other than England, probably the next trip will be Normandy, and I just don't know when that'll be yet. Nicholas, your girlfriend's from Vonsheim? That's amazing. I need to get there so badly. I don't know a lot about Vietnam, unfortunately. French history is incredibly interesting. Southern Georgia, there's not a lot, really. Jimmy Carter is from Southern Georgia. Favorite places to eat in Ohio? Let me think about that. We have this place not far from where I live called the Chop House, which is phenomenal steak, but it's expensive. Ooh, I should do something about Mount St. Helens. That is actually my earliest historical memory. Mount St. Helens eruption and the assassination attempt on President Reagan are my two earliest historic memories. My favorite country's history would be England. I haven't been to the Confederate White House. I've been to Virginia many times. What car do I drive? A Hyundai Santa Fe. All right, so here's what I want to do. We've got about 40 minutes left. I've not been to Mount Rushmore. It's not Urban Meyer's Chop House. I haven't visited Scapa Flow because I haven't been to the UK yet. It's coming, though. Sons of Hawaii, thank you. And yes, would love to do some Hawaiian history. There's a lot of great history there. I learned a little bit of it when I was there many, many years ago. The Man in the Iron Mask store really happened, Chillman. Thank you. And yes, that would be interesting. I love Ponderosa, but we don't have any around here anymore where I live. What's my credit card number? Yes. Good luck with that. I will get to the Epic History series, the rest of it at some point. Favorite English king? Edward III. Edward III and probably George VI. Scott, going to Scotland in July. I haven't done anything on Operation Mincemeat yet. Patreon coming up, yes. Maybe tomorrow. I'm going to look at a possibility of doing a patron stream tomorrow. Yeah, let's pull up the Steam library real quick here. I have played both Hell Let Loose and Beyond the Wire, as you're going to see in a minute. The trip was amazing. I didn't get to Luxembourg, and I'm so frustrated about that. I'm going to get back to Yorktown here soon, hopefully. Not 4 hours, sorry. My son's got soccer practice at 6, so. What's my favorite nuclear launch code? Interesting question. All right, so here we go. Let me pull up the chat so I can still see it. And you'll see most of these are not currently installed. I did skip it, so I would have to go again. All right, so Age of Empires 2, Age of History 2. I don't even remember that game, honestly. It was probably one that got sent to me to try out. Aggressor's Ancient Rome, Albion Online, I've played here and there. Among Us is my kids. I don't really play that much. Save your questions for a few minutes just because I'm going to be going over this. Anno Online's a fun one. Ark, that's another one that my son plays all the time. I don't really play. Arms Race, I played a little bit. That was one that was sent to me. Atlantic Fleet, I did a whole series on the gaming channel. Banished, I've done some videos on the gaming channel. I did a look at Bastide. Battlecry Freedom, I need to play some more. I don't even have that installed right now. I need to get that reinstalled on the computer again. Oh, you can't. Oh my gosh, I've been talking through all of this and you guys can't even see it. Okay, let's try that again. My bad, I had it dragged on the wrong side. So there, now you can see it. I was looking at the chat, so I wasn't even looking at the screen. So here you go. Beyond the Wire, right there, is a good one. I'm just going down the list, and I'll just kind of highlight some of the ones. Buzz Aldrin Space Program Manager was one I played and enjoyed that a lot. Skyrim's the only one of those three that I've played, William Wallace. Let's see. What else have I played? Oh, Catan. I love Catan. Tim, no matter how many times you type that, no one's going to see it. So I have played Victoria 2 and looking forward to Victoria 3 coming out. Let's see. These Civil War games I've played here and there. City Skylines. I like a good city builder. Settlement survival games are fun too. I did a series on Civil War 2. Clan Folks one I'm going to probably do on the gaming channel before too long. That one looks really, really cool. It's a lot like, oh gosh, what's the game that's like? I'll tell you when I see it on my Steam list what it's like. Close Combat, Last Stand Arnhem, that's probably one I want to play too. My kids have Nintendo Switch. I have always been a gamer, yes. All the way back to the Atari 2600 that I had as a kid. Yes, Crusader Kings I've done a bunch of on the gaming channel. Let's see, Company of Heroes. Crush, that's one of my kids. I've never played that. I don't even know what that is. Dangerous Waters, I played a little bit. Let's see what else we got. Empire Sin's a fun game. EU4 is good. Fields of Glory, I've played some here and there. Football Manager, I play all the time. I usually play that on my laptop. I didn't play much Zelda back in the day. I did some. Let's see. Gettysburg The Tide Turns was fun. Grand Tactician I've done a ton of on my channel. New video came out today on the gaming channel. How many hours of Hearts of Iron 4? Let's see how many it's registering me at here. It's saying 1,000, but I've played a lot more than that because before I bought it on Steam, I had a pirated version of it that I probably had a couple thousand hours into. What team on Football Manager? I have a created team. I start in the 11th tier of the English football pyramid and work my way up. So, and then I have a playthrough where I'm playing as Rangers too. And I just won the Europa League on that one. So, what about Raid Shadow Legends? They have reached out to me about doing ads. I said no. Only pro soccer matches I've been to, Kyle, are Columbus Crew. My son's soccer coach, excuse me, his club coach plays for a indoor soccer team in Cleveland called the Cleveland Crunch. We haven't been to any of their games yet, but I definitely want to see Rangers and want to see West Brom. Probably going to take my sons to see Manchester United this fall when I go back to the UK. I inhaled something. Some liquid, so I'm coughing, sorry. I like to pretend I played Oregon Trail, but really all I did was, you have died of dysentery. Nice. I don't know. I don't think the Crunch are in the same league as Detroit FC, but I'm not sure. All right, let's see. Hell Let Loose is excellent. What else do we got here that's good? I don't know what Kindergarten is. It must be one of my kids. Kingdoms Reborn, we played some multiplayer. That was fun. Life is Feudal was fun. Lord of the Rings Online, I played for years. I used to be really into World of Warcraft back in the day, probably 15, 20 years ago. Haven't played Jedi Fallen Order. Mountain Blade Bannerlord, love Mountain Blade Bannerlord. I'm gonna probably start a series on the gaming channel doing the Game of Thrones mod with that one. Which I have. I don't have Kingdom Come Deliverance. I really should play that. Navy Field was a lot of fun back in the day. I've played New World a little bit. Nimby Rails is a cool little game. Postscriptum I just reinstalled because my friend Sonder wants to play with me, so I'll probably join his one of his servers and play that. Horde or Alliance, definitely I was Horde. I did play the old Talonsoft. The Battleground Gettysburg was one of my favorite games back in the day. Link to my gaming channel.
It's VTH Gaming. The link's in a lot of the videos. It's just not on there right now. What else we got here? Oh, RimWorld. That's the game. Clanfolk is like a set in Scotland version of RimWorld is what it is. So I might do a preview video of that sometime just to show people what that game is like. I want to start playing that. There's so many games I want to play. Call of Duty, I played so much COD. When I was a youth pastor, we used to do LAN parties. And we would get like 5 Xboxes hooked up to each other, and we would play play all together on do LAN games of Halo, and then we would get online and play Call of Duty together, and there'd be like 5 or 6 of us all together, and we were unstoppable on COD. Problem is, I'm old now, and my reaction time isn't what it used to be. I loved Battlefield. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Risk, I love playing Risk. My sons play Rocket League. Of course, I have most of the Total War games. Rome, Total War. Let's see. Sea of Thieves is my son too. What else? Star Trek Online's there. Stardew Valley. My daughter and my youngest son are really into Stardew Valley. Playing Modern Warfare at church. Yes. What else we got? Rainbow Six Siege is another one my son plays a lot. Strategic Command World War I. Tough game, man. Tough game, but I like it. Tropic Go. I love the Tropic Go series. There's Attila, Empire, Napoleon, and Total War Rome Remastered. What else? Ultimate General Civil War. That was the first big game on my channel. Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts I love a lot. War of the Roses I've played a little bit. There's War of Rights I need to reinstall. Victory at Sea Ironclad and Victory at Sea Pacific. War Thunder we played a lot of back in the day. And there you have it. So Workers and Resources is a really, really fun game too. So thank you for all of you who have been donating, in case I missed anybody. I don't do a lot of mobile gaming. Mostly when I'm traveling, I'll play a lot of mobile games on my phone. Online Soccer Manager I play on mobile. I do have Enlisted. It's just not in my Steam library. My favorite Star Wars movie? I like Revenge of the Sith, and I like Empire Strikes Back a lot. Opinion of the current situation in Europe. I hope that Russia pulls their troops out and it ends as quickly as possible. Yeah, Risk. Another thing, when I was a youth pastor, we would do retreats for the weekend, and one of the highlights of our retreat would be the big Risk tournament. And 7 years in a row, either me or my wife won the Risk tournament. Like, once I taught her how to play, she's a beast at Risk. We have every board game version of Risk, and we have the mobile version, and play it on the computer too. Favorite Harry Potter movie? The last one. Yeah, I saw Mr. Beats' video calling every senator. Yes, I would have dropped the bombs. Absolutely. Wouldn't have thought twice about it. I did take my youth group to camps, and I grew up at church camp too. I went there a lot every summer. What am I looking forward the most for the channel? That's a good question. I think hitting 1 million subscribers would be amazing. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything I'm looking forward to that I haven't already achieved. The channel's big enough that I'm doing it full time, and I'm making a good living doing it. Making a good enough living that my wife was able to quit her job 6 months ago so she could focus on school and focus on finishing her master's degree and doing her internship, which was a huge blessing. And that was when I first started the making YouTube videos 6 years ago. That was a goal that we had, was to have it get us to the place where it could supplement my income. And I get to travel to historic sites. I wish I had more time to do like meet and greets with people. I've only done them a few times. And unfortunately, because
and I shouldn't say unfortunately, because I'm very blessed to have a family. My daughter's going to be a senior in high school this fall. My son is going to be a freshman in high school this fall, and then my youngest will be in 4th grade. And then my wife will be starting out her career as a school counselor. So we're at a place in our family's life where I can't travel as much as I would like to. I wish I could do a lot more trips than the ones I'm doing. I'm very blessed to do what I get to do. I've been to Europe twice in the last 3 months, and I'm very thankful for my wife and my mother-in-law who hold down the fort while I'm gone for a week to let that be possible. I wish I could do it more, but I'm not going to complain about how often I get to do it and the fact that I get to do it. So honestly, I'm very happy with where things are. I don't think I'd change anything. But I do want to do more like meetups. I want to find time to be able to do that. I still want to do a thing where we spend the weekend at Camp Toccoa and people come and stay there and we hike Currahee together. I want to do that. I want to do a get together at Gettysburg, things like that. Love Dire Maker. I love Dan Carlin. Phenomenal. Honestly, his is the only podcast I listen to. I don't really listen to a ton of podcasts because usually when I'm in the car, I'm listening to books like on Audible. Would love it if there's something I'm looking forward to. I would love it if Audible sponsored me, and they don't even have to pay me. Just give me free books. That's all I want. What's my favorite amendment? The First Amendment. Historical court case. That's interesting. I have done a little bit about Llewellyn ap Griffith, the last Prince of Wales. I'm going to get to Utah for sure. If I could invite 4 historical figures to dinner, who would I choose? Grant, for sure. George Patton. King George VI. And Otto von Bismarck. Ooh, Ancestry sponsorship would be cool. I would like to do some more family history related videos. Maybe do some streams about that. Since I can't do research for people anymore because of how many requests I was getting, maybe I can at least do some videos to help other people get their own research started. I am going to get to Belgium for World War I content. I want to get to Ypres. I think we may be coming to Belgium again in December. They're talking about doing another Band of Brothers event at Bastogne. And my wife would really love to come to see the Christmas markets like in Brussels. So what famous people have I met? I spent a day with Kirk Cameron, which was awesome. Who else have I met? I briefly met George W. Bush. I was on a flight with Dwight Gooden. Or no, not Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry. I was on a flight with Darryl Strawberry. He sat right behind me on a flight. I sat right behind Michael Reagan, who's the son of President Reagan, on a flight to Scranton, Pennsylvania. He was going to speak at a college, and I was going there to speak at a high school. Who else have I met? I'm sure I'm not thinking of somebody. I will say this. The closest thing to a famous person that follows this channel, and some of you have heard me mention this, one of the people who follows me on Instagram and is always liking my stuff on Instagram, his parents are the actors Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Dylan Douglas is a big fan of this channel. Which is just crazy to me. When I discovered that, it was cool. Indy Nidell is a fan of this channel, and he's subscribed to this, which is really cool too because he's one of my favorite historians. Boring Old Biddy, thank you, appreciate that. I haven't met Indy Nidell yet, but we're gonna work that out at some point. We're gonna collab on something for sure. Because he and I emailed back and forth before my trip to France, and he gave me some really helpful hints. He was the reason I went to Fleury, because he said that, like, I'm like, you know, when you went, where's the one place I have to go? And he said Fleury. You got to go to Fleury. So, well, the guys from Band of Brothers, absolutely. Matthew Leach, who played Talbert. I I can't really call him a friend because we only spent a couple of days together, but we're friends on Facebook, so does that count? Mark was fantastic. Mark, if you saw my video that went up this morning, Mark, who played Dukeman, just all four of those guys that were from Band of Brothers that we hung out with for the day were awesome. I would love to see the Pyramids. Yeah, I got to meet the guys from Sabaton. West Brom 4-0. Did I see the match? What match is that? Are you talking about the cup final today? I thought it was 1-1 last I saw. The Premier League Cup final for the U23s. I didn't see what the last score. They were down 2-1 last I saw. Oh, and then they scored. Is it tied again? Do I know anyone who has a hair transplant? Not that I know of. Where I met George W. Bush, he actually came to our community during the 2004 election, and we met him there. No, I never met Sargon the Great. I will do something about the 1960 Rising. I want to get to Ireland, too. I don't really have an opinion about NATO. Am I more excited for the 2026 North American World Cup? Definitely the North American World Cup. My son graduates in 2026, and I already told him that we're going to go to a match for sure. I have been to the Alamo. Actually, one of the oldest videos on this channel is from my trip to the Alamo. I don't think anybody was fixing Gateau up mentally. Some people really couldn't be helped, unfortunately. I haven't seen the most recent Sabaton history videos yet. I have held a Civil War musket. Favorite Olympic sport? Oh, good question. I'm really into the swimming in the Summer Olympics. Your great-grandfather's Merle Haggard's great-grandpa's brother. That's cool. Professor what? That is awesome. I've never been to Africa. Was Sherman a good man like Grant? No, not in the same way. I don't think so. I'm not saying Sherman wasn't a good man, but he wasn't the kind of man that Grant was. No, very different. Best admiral in history, Admiral Yi. Favorite Sabaton song, I mentioned this earlier, 82nd All the Way. Do I think we're in a recession? If we're not, we're headed for one, I think. Show my computer specs. Sean Gardner, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. How do we do that? Let me take a look here. What is it? System info or yeah, I think it's system info is what I want, right? All right, here we go. Computer specs. Intel Core i7, 10700F, 2.9 gigahertz, 8 cores, 16 gigs of RAM. Where's my video card? It's like a TI 1660, I think. Yeah, it's a GTX 1660 Ti. Wilfred, thank you. Appreciate that. I don't know that Britain let the Lusitania sink. It sank in like a really short time. I don't think they would have gotten there in time. I have a terabyte hard drive and then I think a 500 gig solid state drive. Yeah, more Sabaton coming in the next couple of days. Favorite celebrities? It depends. I mean, there's all different genres of celebrity. Favorite actors? Probably Tom Hanks. Who else? Denzel Washington. Do I collect anything other than books? I've started collecting historical memorabilia here and there. My latest one that I added to my collection is a hat badge for the Black Watch. The Scottish unit. This is a World War I and World War II era hat badge that I just got in the last couple of weeks. I have seen Death of Stalin. Love it. Love Death of Stalin. It was interesting, and I'm going to be uploading soon, even before I start doing the series of videos from the battlefields that I visited in the last couple weeks. I'm going to do a video where the guys from Band of Brothers were just sharing stories on the bus. And one of the stories they share is about the day Dick Winters came to the set and how he was there very briefly and then left. But one of the things that Matthew Leach, who played Talbert, mentioned is he mentioned that Tom Hanks is a big guy. And I think Tom Hanks is 6 feet tall, but I mean, Matthew's not a big guy. He's about my size. But he said Tom Hanks is like a broad-shouldered big dude, and I never thought of Tom Hanks that way. Yes, Burger, people can see your comments. Gary Sinise is a very cool dude. A lot of respect for him. I like Chris Pratt a lot, too. I haven't built any models for a long time. Naval models, mostly. Any life advice for an 18-year-old? Be patient. You are not the person that you will be. You'll probably be 30 before you really find out who you are. Don't make any life-changing decisions right now. I mean, if you're going to school or something, fine, but understand that by the time you're 25 or 26, your life might look very different. Your interests might look very different. I'm not really that into horror movies. We got about 18 minutes left. My favorite aspect of the war, the thing I'm most interested in World War I is the Somme right now. Anyway, that reminds me. Somebody brought up Passchendaele earlier. And yeah, I'm going to do more tier lists. I'm going to go to Ypres. Passchendaele was the third battle of Ypres. That might be one of the most horrible battles in human history. I've been reading stories about Passchendaele. And actually, Dan Carlin did a whole thing on Passchendaele, and the way he tells a story is just phenomenal anyway. But in his podcast about Passchendaele, he talks about this, and he talks about, first of all, Passchendaele, because of all the mud, they had to lay down planks, which of course created killing fields, right? It created these narrow areas over which they could attack, which were easy to focus all your fire on. So it made Passchendaele just deadly, terribly deadly. But the mud, they said a guy was caught up to his knees in the mud. And if you were stuck up to your knees in the mud, you were dead. Because even stuck up to your knees, no amount of manpower could get you out. And so there were stories about a guy who was stuck up to his knees, and everybody walked past him, and they couldn't do anything for him. And like a day or two later, they walked past, and now he was up to his neck. And he was slowly sinking into the mud to this horrible, horrible death. Passchendaele was an absolutely horrible, horrible, horrible place. So I'm going to definitely do some videos there. Yeah. I say the word stories so dramatically. An Erwin Rommel video. I don't know how divisive he is these days. Would I prefer to live 50 more years with $1 or $10 million and live 100 more years? I don't know if I'd want to live 100 more years. Believe very strongly in heaven and that it's a lot better than here. So while I'm in no hurry to get there, totally okay when it comes. I mentioned earlier I probably won't do a UK Prime Minister's tier list just because I don't know enough about the Prime Ministers to judge them fairly, I don't think. Do I believe any conspiracies? No, but I'm willing to acknowledge the possibility of the Hitler one, that Hitler got to Argentina. I'll give that one like a 10-15% chance of being true. Sean, probably both. Most of the German generals at least were willing to turn the other way to the Nazis. When did I become a Christian? I grew up in church. I've been in church all my life. Probably 8 years old. Heaven better than Ohio confirmed. Who killed JFK? Lee Harvey Oswald did. Was he alone? Was there a conspiracy? I don't know, but he definitely did it. Braden, yes, probably. it was burned after he committed suicide. Joe, hey Joe, what's going on, man? Joe Matthews was on our tour in the Netherlands. Joe is in the UK government and works at the Houses of Parliament, and he's promised me a tour. So not when I go with my family, but when I go back in the fall to do historical content, he's going to do that. No, I don't own any historical firearms, but I have a dream of one day owning a Harper's Ferry 1855 musket, because that's what my ancestor carried with the 20th Ohio, who I'm writing a book about right now. Do I geocache? I did briefly years ago. Any thoughts on atheists? I think a lot of people who get labeled as atheists are probably more labeled agnostic. I haven't met a lot of militantly atheistic people in my life, but I think for some people, atheism is just a religion because I don't want to offend anybody. If you're an atheist, I'm glad you're here. We have a shared love of history. That's what matters. I'm not trying to offend atheists. The one thing I don't understand about atheists, about some atheists, I'm not labeling all because most aren't like this. I don't understand the atheists who are offended by Christians who are open about their faith or about people praying in public and things like that. I'm not offended by Jews or Muslims or atheists or things like that. So I guess I just don't get that. The people who are militantly against religion. I'm more of a live and let live guy. If that's what you believe, that's your choice. I respect you. I will look for things to have in common. I will still be kind to you. I will still, treat you as a human being worthy of my respect. But there are a lot of atheists that follow this channel, and I'm glad you guys are here. We're here because we love history. Yeah, I don't like when anybody gets treated differently because of what they believe. I shared this story a while ago, but one of my best friends that I've ever met through Rachel's Challenge was a Muslim. His name was Mihiar, and he's an amazing guy. And it was cool for me because every year when we go for training, they put two of us in a hotel room. And so that year, Mihiar was one of our new speakers that was coming to do training. And whether you're a seasoned veteran or a brand new speaker, everybody comes for the training. And they would break us into groups, and we would help the new presenters to learn the material and to know what to expect and stuff like that. And so I roomed with Mihiar. And so I thought it was cool that they put the Christian pastor with the Muslim in a room together. And so there I'd be laying on my bed reading my Bible while Mihiar's over in the corner on his knees praying to Mecca. And we could not have gotten along better. And he's one of the kindest, most generous, wonderful people I've ever met in my life. And the fact that we came from very, very different places in our faith didn't matter, because we both were there because we care about kindness and we want people to treat one another with kindness and love and respect. So Mr. Beat video is premiering right now. Interesting. If I had a chance to go back in time for any historical event, where would I go? I would love to see Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address. Clay, thank you for that. Favorite Native American tribe? The Delaware, the Lenape Indians, because I'm descended from them. Yes, I am a pastor. Do Americans get Germans get a reasonable peace treaty if July plot succeeds? Possibly. I don't know what reasonable looks like, though. Probably less likely to be occupied. So I think that would be different. JD asked the question. JD asked the question about my regimental history. So I'm trying to take inspiration for that from Band of Brothers. Now, obviously, unlike Stephen Ambrose, I can't sit down with veterans of the 20th Ohio and interview them. However, there are some great resources. Osborne Oldroyd kept a diary during the Vicksburg campaign, a daily diary, and he describes in intimate detail what was going on in camp, what their train rides were like, specific men and what they were doing. I've got access to a couple of dozen pension files for guys who were killed or who survived the war but had wounds, who tell their stories. I've got letters that soldiers wrote home to their families. I've got access to the papers of Manning Force, who was the first colonel of the regiment. All of his papers are available in an archive. So there's a lot of resources to tell a very personal story. So like Band of Brothers, I'm actually planning on picking out 10 or 12 guys whose stories I'm going to try to tell in detail. And I'm going to give their biographies, talk about what they were doing back home in Ohio before the war. In some cases, if they survived, talk about what they did after the war. And then weave their personal stories into the larger landscape of what was happening. So it's not a straight regimental history. I want it to be more of a Band of Brothers thing where you get to know and love some of these men who were in the unit. So that's kind of how I'm planning to do this. That's what I'm hoping the 20th Ohio Regimental History is going to be. I am planning to do short biographies of every one of the 1,600 men who were in the unit. That'll be kind of an addendum at the end of it. Because I'm doing that research first, because by getting the biographies, that'll help me understand who there's a lot of information about, so I can pick who my characters are going to be that we're going to tell the story. I did not serve in the military. Isn't hell somewhere in Chicago? Yes, I do believe in hell. Andrew Jackson would have won a duel with Burr, yes. My favorite non-history related movie. Oh gosh, wow, there's been so many good ones. Probably Independence Day. Always loved Independence Day. My least favorite subject, probably math, and I'm actually really good at math. Mr. Beep, no, just make it a topic you're interested in and passionate about, and that's the only advice I would give you. What is my process for historical research for a project like this? Well, right now it's just all research. I've got a document where I've got one document where I've got every single guy who was killed or died of wounds from the regiment, and I'm detailing right now how it happened, finding out where they were shot, what happened to them after they were shot, or what disease they died of, and where are they buried, things like that. I'm going through all the military records, which is the enlistment papers, whether or not they deserted, things like that, and then doing the biography thing. So once I have all of that, then I'll start with an outline of the story. In fact, here is one of the things I just got to help with my research. And this is digitized version of the service records for all the Civil War soldiers in Ohio so that I could get all of that information. So probably 6 or 8 months of research, and then probably take 3 or 4 months to actually write the book. If I were in the USA Army, Air Force, for me. Any advice on writing and publishing books? Self-publish. I've talked to people who have published through publishing companies and have self-published, and every one of them tells me self-publish. You just don't make that much money going through it. I mean, obviously, you can get more of a reach for your book if you get published by a publishing company, but you're going to make a lot more money for yourself if you self-publish. And with Amazon and all the other resources that are available today, there's no reason not to self-publish. I've not been to Russia. Least favorite U.S. war. War of 1812. Meh. What number are we at for subs? It probably hasn't gone up much. 300,048. General Pennypacker, I think I'm probably related to somehow, because I have a bunch of DNA matches for Pennypackers in the area where he came from. He was one of the youngest generals in the Civil War. Most historically inaccurate movie I've ever seen. Wow. Such a list. Probably Braveheart. Among popular movies, I would say. What is my least favorite state and why is it Missouri? No, it's Michigan, obviously. I want to get to Spotsylvania and do some videos there. Haven't been to Spotsylvania yet. Ben Franklin, creepy dude, but super smart. Did I ever think I'd get to 300K? No, not in a million years, Sarah. Super shocked that it happened. Oh, I wish they'd make a Last Full Measure movie, but unfortunately, unless they find somebody else to finance it, it's not happening. And listen, Anthony, as a Michigander, I fully expect you to hate Ohio as much as we hate Michigan. If I had to replace one head on Mount Rushmore, who would I remove? I'd remove Thomas Jefferson and replace him with... Good question. I don't know who I'd replace him with. I'd just remove Thomas Jefferson. As a Christian, absolutely. I think war is sometimes necessary, but I always prefer that we don't have to fight in wars. Yeah, DiCaprio as Roosevelt is going to happen. I said the same thing about Heath Ledger as Joker, but he was phenomenal and won an Oscar for that role. So my judgment on who should play someone is not good. Another Teddy Roosevelt face. Yes. Ronald Reagan. There you go, JD. I have been to Richland County, Ohio. Eisenhower crossed my mind. What do I have against Jefferson? All my opposition to Jefferson is mainly about him as a person. I think he was kind of a scumbag human being. Eric Owens, thank you. Appreciate that. I.O., baby. Was Trump good in my opinion? Nope, I'm not going to answer that. I am non-denominational, Robbie. Non-denominational Christian churches and churches of Christ. There is a Church of Christ that is non-instrumental. They don't use music. That's not what I am. Yeah, I could do some the historical jokes on Family Guy. That was a really big video for him. I saw he got a ton of views on that. And then he did the Ben Shapiro tier video after mine got 1 million views in 3 weeks. So, and I don't blame him for that. I would have done the same thing. All right, 2 minutes. We're going to wrap this up, guys. Would I rather fight at Verdun or the Somme? Probably the Somme, because the Somme was one really bad day, followed by a few less bad days here and there. Verdun was one horrible day after another. Oh, yeah, we got to do the giveaway. Let's do that now, guys. Thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot about the giveaway. All right, so I'm going to draw this. I won't be able to see the chat for a minute. But I'm going to go ahead. Last chance. I'll give you guys 1 minute to hurry up and enter. The link's in the description. And then when it turns 5 o'clock, it's going to automatically end the contest. So then I'll draw it and I'll announce the winners. And then I will contact them by email to let them know how to go about picking their books. The draft in 1863 was like any other draft. Some people were selected and some weren't. Could I beat up Mr. Beat in a boxing match? No. Have you seen that dude? He's stacked. He'd kick my butt. Who's responsible for World War I? The militaries of every country in Europe. The military leadership of Russia, Germany, Austria-Hungary, mainly those ones, those three. I got the agility though. I am going to start running again. Plan on doing some 5Ks down the road. So, what president would I beat up? James Madison, because he was tiny. He was a little guy. All right, here we go. I think entries should be closed. So let's draw some winners, and I'll announce these for you. Okay. It's drawing. I'm not going to show you the who was drawn because I don't want to like give away people's email addresses, but I will announce them and where they're from. So Tuomas Neronen of Helsinki, Finland. Congratulations. He was entry number 309. He was actually one of the last people to enter. So congratulations to Tuomas. You are one. I hope I pronounced that right. Kevin Jackson of Colton, California. He was entry number 110. Congratulations. So if you're in the chat and I drew your name, say something so I know it's you. Our third winner is Michael Lynch from Limerick in Ireland. Very cool. Very, very cool. Congratulations. Jason Curry of Farmington, New York. Very cool. Congratulations. And then Sebastian Bouillet of France. Very cool. Congratulations. So congratulations to our 5 winners. I will email all 5 of you later on tonight and let you know how you can go about picking either a book on Amazon or an audio book through Audible, and I will send that to you. So we're going to wrap this up, guys. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot say thank you enough for your support, for getting us to 300,000. We're going to try to stream more this summer when my kids don't have school and all those sorts of things. Thank you to everybody who donated today, and we'll see you again.